Greetings, BookTube, and welcome back to the Wild Digest. I am your host, Scott, and it has been a couple of weeks. Apologies for that. I've been really busy. I have two huge tabletop role-playing game projects on my desk right now that are occupying most of my free time, but I am still squeezing in a little bit of time for some reading and acquiring a few books as well. So I thought it was definitely time to jump in and tell you about how I've completely failed in regards to my TBR for the month. I had a great video about that one. If you want to go back and check it out, I used a random number generator and based it off of my Excel spreadsheet. And I selected a whole bunch of great books, but most of those books have gone unread, and it's the 21st of November. So, oh well, it happens. Life, the dreaded life. But anyway, I did say that I wanted to open up the month by reading the Undersea Trilogy by Frederick Pohl and Jack Williamson, which I did. There are 3 volumes. I said trilogy. Of course, there are 3 volumes, 3 books in the series. You can see that I have sort of a mix of editions here. The first book in the series is Undersea Quest, this one here. The second one is Undersea Fleet, there. And then the third one was Undersea City, right there. Originally, these were published in the 1950s. I believe the publisher was Gnome. They were released as juveniles, and they unquestioningly targeted boys. There is only one female character in any of these 3 books, and she is amphibious and shows up in book number 2, Undersea Fleet. But let me just say, I enjoyed the heck out of these books. I am working on a project right now that does involve an undersea aspect. So I read them as both research and inspiration, took copious notes, not so much for plagiaristic intentions, but to just get some ideas that I could flesh out and possibly incorporate in my current project. But these were a lot of fun. They are high adventure, definitely exciting reads, easy reads. I whipped through them pretty quickly. I mean, it's 450 pages worth of undersea adventure, and I read all 3 of them. And I just had a really fun time with them. It's sad that Undersea City concludes the series. Even though it's open-ended at the end, there is a reference to, the adventure continues, let's go. But Pohl and Williamson never wrote any additional books in that trilogy. They had other things to work on together, so off they went. But I will say that if you are looking for something that's a little bit different, juvenile, sure, although it doesn't really talk down to the audience at all, I recommend them. And I've seen them on eBay ranging in price from between, say, $4 a pop and up. There are even original hardcovers from the 1950s available. But some of those are a little pricey, and I don't think I'm actually going to collect them. I think it's fine that I just was able to read these 3 volumes. But they're great. I really had a fun time with them. If you are curious about them, I would say, if I was going to give them a rating, and I know ratings are, who cares? But if we were talking about maybe a 5-star rating system, I'd probably say 4 or 5 stars for what they are. They are very satisfying reads, and I had a really fun time with them. So if you can track them down, and it sounds like something that you'd be interested in, I recommend them. All right, so that was what I opened my month with. Those 3 books. Happy that I read them, and let's move on. So between those books, and even in some cases between chapters for those books, I've been dipping into a book I picked up from the Iliad Bookshop. And it's this one here, Science Fiction Today and Tomorrow, edited by Reginald Bretner. This, technically I would call this science fiction yesterday, because this was released in 1974 originally. This is I not only love to read science fiction, I also love to read books about science fiction, and I certainly love to read books about science fiction written by science fiction authors. Well, that is everything that is in this volume. Bretner apparently, from what I can see, did 3 of these types of books, and they are handled as a symposium. In other words, there are some topics that were pitched to the authors, and then the authors wrote essays in each of those categories. So, for instance, the subject headings here are science fiction today, science fiction, science, and modern man, and the art and science of science fiction. And the authors who contributed to this particular volume: Ben Bova, Frederick Pohl, George Zabrowski, Frank Herbert, Theodore Sturgeon, Bretner himself, James Gunn, Poul Anderson, Hal Clement, Anne McCaffrey, Gordon R. Dixon, Jack Williamson. Just a complete coincidence as to the fact that both Pohl and Williamson are in this. But so far, they have been a lot of fun. Some of them do lean heavily into the science end of things, which is fine. Some well-known science fiction authors had a scientific background, so they embrace that and they go for it in these essays. But I saw this on the shelf at Iliad Books. You can see it's in phenomenal condition. It's a penguin, and it was stuck in the anthologies section. It's an anthology of essays, sure, and fairly scholarly at that. But it was only, I think, $3.50, and I picked it up, and so far it's been a fun read, sort of dipping into perspectives from some of my favorite writers at the time, early 70s. So that was one of the first pickups I got from Iliad Bookshop a couple of weeks ago. And that same visit, I found a couple of other books. This one I already posted about, and this was a cover buy, and it's The Sword of Lancor. If you've never seen it, I mean, come on, look at that frickin' cover. This is written by Howard L. Corey. That's a pseudonym. It was a husband and wife team, and reviews are quite mixed. It's a shorty. It's one of these little squat aces. But I saw it on the shelf. The spine was nice and clean and bright. Everything was in really good, solid condition. There's some strange little pokes in the front, as if maybe somebody used a push pin on it. I don't know what happened here, but everything is in pretty good shape. I am going to read the dang thing because it's just so goofy looking. But I saw that, and as I say, it was a cover buy. How could I pass that up? Look at this guy; he's so awesome. So that was also at the Iliad Bookshop on the same day that I found that Science Fiction Today and Tomorrow, and also on that same day, I'm always keeping my eye out for DAWs, and there are quite a few DAWs on the shelf at Iliad, but they're of varying quality. Or condition, not necessarily quality, but the condition varies. And I really only collect DAWs when I see them in the wild if they are in really, really good condition, or good nick, as some people would say. I saw this spine. I didn't have a copy of this. It has a little bit of warpage, but everything else is in fantastic condition. I can't even, there's a very minor crease on the cover and a slight little bit of damage on the back. But apart from that, it's in great shape, and it's the Haydon of Ancient Opar, which is Philip Jose Farmer, and it's his series that's set in ancient Africa, but it's the Africa of Tarzan. And Farmer got the rights from the Burroughs estate to write these, and my understanding is I think this is the first one. And I don't even know how many more he's written, but I was pretty excited to grab this off the shelf, especially in the condition that I saw. Look at how yellow and clean and shiny that spine is. It's beautiful. It has art by Roy Krenkel, cover and interior art. There's some really, really neat interior art there, you can see. So happy to grab that one. I think it was maybe $2 or $2.50 if I recall correctly. So not a lot of money, but my DAW collection has increased by 1. It's not massive. I mean, I think I have between 40 and 50. I think it's getting closer to 50 at this point, and most of them are in really, really nice condition. I did a video showing my DAWs a while back. So I went back to Iliad again. I tend to go to Iliad maybe once every week, once every other week. And I found something that I have been wanting to pick up for a very, very long time. Now, I know a lot of you have probably already read this book. It's a classic. It was also featured in Gary Gygax's original Appendix N list that he posted in the original Advanced Dungeons and Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide. It's been kicked around. It's been discussed. It is a classic of fantasy literature. I know that Outlaw Bookseller Steve did an episode of one of his episodes where he talked about it at great length. So I have been wanting to read this forever. And I remember reading about it when I was a kid, but I never took the leap to get a copy. But I finally have the frickin' Broken Sword by Poul Anderson. And I paid $10 for this. It's going for some pretty good money on eBay. If you poke around on eBay for copies of the book, especially ones that are listed as being in very good and up condition, you'll see that they're going for some pretty good money. But I thought, you know what, I would much rather pay $10 in my favorite local bookshop than buy it from some rando online. So very happy to have a nice, solid condition copy of Broken Sword. And I can guarantee this one is going to be read this winter. This is going to be one that will crack open December, next month, January. But I'm definitely going to read it in the next few weeks, and I'm looking forward to it. Now, speaking of ordering from randos, we all do it. We all are always looking for something online, and we do the occasional order. Sometimes I've ordered larger collections of things online. I think when I ordered my Best of the West books, and this will be a nice segue, you'll see. The Best of the West series, I found a seller who had, I think, 9 of those at the time that they were selling through Abe Books. So I bought a lot of those. That's a fairly recent collection of stuff that exceeded, say, 3 to 5 books. I don't buy large collections. I'm not one of those maniacs who seems to want to buy 200 books off of eBay and then do an unboxing for 6 hours. That ain't me. You're not going to see that here. But I do occasionally find a book that I'm looking for, and then I check and see if the seller has other things of interest. So I'm not just paying shipping on a single paperback book. So I always try to at least order, a couple or 3 or 5, whatever. So going back to what I was saying about Best of the West. So the Best of the West series, I've talked about it before, and other people here on BookTube have talked about the series. It was edited by Bill Pronzini and Martin Greenberg, and they put together several volumes of Western short stories in varying themes. So one of them was The Horse Soldiers, which got selected in my TBR at the beginning of this month, but I haven't read a single story in it. I'll get to it eventually. So I have, I think, 9 or 10 of those Best of the West books, but there was one that's not a Best of the West book in name, but it's definitely a Best of the West book in content. And it's another one edited by Pronzini and Greenberg, but it was one that I really wanted to add to my collection, especially as we're going into December. And that is Christmas Out West. This is a collection of Western short stories, all set in the winter or around Christmas. And I thought it would be a lot of fun to definitely add this to my TBR for the month of December. I am going to read every single story in this book in December. So I was very excited to find this copy. It was described as being, I think, very good, but it's unread. It's in pristine condition. And I was so happy to find it, finally to get it. And it was $3. It was only $3. So I now have Christmas Out West to read in December. My TBR, I'll announce my TBR hopefully shortly, maybe next week as we roll into Thanksgiving and then roll into December. But that is definitely on it, and I cannot wait to read those stories. And I may actually try to do, well, we'll see. I was going to say maybe a reading of one of the stories, but I'll take a look and see what's in that volume. Oh, geez, I almost dropped it to the floor. Okay, so that was something that I found on eBay, ordered up very excitedly. But again, I didn't want to just necessarily order one $3 book and pay a couple bucks worth of shipping to get it to me. So I looked in the seller's inventory and spotted a couple other books of interest and added them into the order so I could at least get a few fun things. So one of the things I got was this 1971 edition, Fawcett edition of Asimov's Caves of Steel. This is one of the robot books that Asimov wrote. This is it has a detective, R. Daniel Oliva, who is a robot detective. And the fun thing is I'm actually trying to get a whole bunch of Asimov books right now because my wife and I are currently finally watching Foundation. We're about halfway through season 3 and excited that season 4 is coming. And if you're not familiar with Foundation, or if you're not really familiar with a lot of the work that Asimov did, he wrote his robot series, which he's very, very well known for, as well as his Foundation books. Later in life, he revealed, I guess, that all these things were interconnected. And so it's this massive interconnected universe that Asimov wrote about, which includes the robot books and the Foundation books, and then even some other books that you would never associate that are part of the Galactic Empire. And so now I'm motivated to try to track down all of the books in the order that Asimov put into his list, and maybe, I don't know, that might be a 2026 reading project, is to just go through all those books in that order and really experience Asimov's universe, robots, Foundation, and we'll see how that goes. But really, really neat copy of this. Again, it's in fantastic condition. There is a crease on the spine or two on the spine, but everything else is really, really nice and clean. I love this cover. Really cool art. And so happy to have that in the collection. And it was only $2.50. And then the only other book that I got out of that same seller, I spotted he had an ace double listed, and it was an ace double of Margaret St. Clair. And so one side has 3 Worlds of Futurity, which is funny because it's 3 Worlds of Futurity, but I believe there are 5 short stories in this. Weird. And then on the flip side is Message from the Eocene, again, Margaret St. Clair. Weirdly, it looks like there was this enormous label was on the cover at one point. I don't know if it was promoting that it was a double or something, or it was just, who knows what the deal was. But somebody did remove most of it, and it came away very clean. There is some residue there. I may try to goog on that one in the coming weeks or whatever. But yeah, a nice, really nice condition, solid copy. Why did I just show it upside down? There we go. Nice, solid condition copy of this Margaret St. Clair book, ace double. And again, it was only $2.50. So a grand total of $8 plus shipping for those 3 volumes. But this was my main target, was getting this really nice condition copy of Christmas Out West. So you're going to hear more about that one in the coming weeks for sure. Now that I have finished the Undersea Trilogy, I did have some other stuff on my TBR for November. I'm going to try to get through at least 1 or 2 more of those books. I'm currently reading Mystery Ranch by Max Brand. It's a Max Brand book. It's a fun Western. So far, so good. Enjoying it. And that will definitely be one that I will probably fly through over the next couple of days. And when I do another video, hopefully next week, I'll catch you up on where I am with this, whether or not I'm still wrestling with it or if I've gotten through it. And then we'll see if I've managed to get to any of the other stuff in my original TBR for November. But that is it. Good little catch up. The most exciting thing was, of course, reading the 3 Undersea books. Very, very fun. I really enjoyed those, and looking forward to actually reading more of the Paul Williamson collaborations, because I know they wound up doing something like 10 novels in their lifetimes together. So I will be tracking those down. Apart from that, running some games, writing some games, watching some TV shows. As I said, I mentioned Foundation. I don't really talk about the stuff I'm watching. That might be something to slug in once in a while. I don't know what you're watching. We're also watching Down Cemetery Road. I don't know if you're watching that one at all. big fans of slow horses, but Down Cemetery Road involves a lot of the same people, and Emma Thompson is in the cast, and she's phenomenal. So that's some fun stuff. Maybe I'll do a TV episode down the line as well. So that's it for now. I just want to thank you all for continuing to watch and enjoy these silly little videos. Continue to spread the word about the Wild Digest, and like and subscribe if you haven't already. And I will see you in the next video.